Hey guys, and welcome to another tutorial by Blender Amigos. This is Dan. Today we're gonna be making something very simple. It's just a dice. So what we basically gonna have to do is texture this cube. Um, so let's get started. So most of the time, anyone who used Blender for a long time knows that we get into this habit of actually deleting the default cube. But in this case, we're gonna keep it. Let me just quickly turn on my screencast. So what we have here is our default cube. It's already a dice, but it's pretty boring if we're just gonna leave it as a cube. So what we do is we'll add a modifier in. We'll add in a bevel modifier, so we have a little bit bevel, so it looks a little bit nicer. And we just say 0.02. Looks good. All right, so let's quickly save this. So this is my previous tutorial. Didn't work out too well. Let's just save that. Alright, so here's our default cube, and let's switch to Blender Cycles. There we go. And we're just gonna move this one unit up. And let's add in Shift A to add in a mesh plane, and let's scale this up so we have a ground that our dice sit on. And just practice that. Control S. Autosave doesn't work in Blender. Actually, Blender has an autosave, and it's your hand. Okay, so that's autosave. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll quickly unwrap this. So cubes are probably the easiest thing to unwrap beside just a normal plane in Blender. So we split the screen up by dragging the triangle here, and we got this thing. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll go into edit mode, pressing tab, and we change to edge select by going down here, or by pressing control tab, and then we go into edge select mode and go to edge. So what we do is we're gonna cut this cube up. So what we basically want is one continuous side that's like our main continuous side that goes all the way around the cube, and the other one is gonna pop out. It'll make more sense what we do in practice. Blender does, however, have an unwrap for cube projection. It's pretty good. It's okay, but you can see it's overlapping each other. And all right, so what we can move it around, but I really want to take this chance to practice with you guys on UV unwrapping. So we'll cut this one here by marking scene. So what we're basically saying that basically this one is cut. If you have a cube nearby, just have a look. You basically we'll cut this here so we can lift this off. But to lift this off, we also need these side to be detached. So we'll mark these things. So it's almost like a lid in a box. And we want this kind of run continuously, so we won't cut this side. We'll cut this. So this side will detach from this side here will detach from this side and this side. Alright, so we'll mark this seam and this seam. And then we'll probably go around. Again, the bottom side here want to be detached from the two sides here, so we'll mark those seams. And we'll leave this because we want these two sides, this one and this one, to be attached to this one. So kind of like that. Alright. So we'll mark that seam. And let me just get rid of the grease pencil. Alright, so and let's see how our UV unwrapping looks. So select all by pressing A and press U to unwrap. So we'll unwrap that. So that's what we have here. Now basically we're just gonna put I already made it. I used paint because I'm not sure if anyone else have Photoshop. If you do, that's great. It's probably easier, but I'm just going to use paint just to cover most people. But if you want to use something more professional, there's also GIMP. It's an open source photo editing software. But basically, this is what I made up before I started the tutorial. So just make up a simple die. If you want to be more specific, you want to have a look at how the faces of the dies. But I think this will work for this tutorial. So I'm just using kind of this, and I already saved it. And to make that, actually, I should show you. After you have unwrapped, you go to UVs and you export your UV layout so you can edit it in an editing software such as Photoshop, GIMP, or just Paint. But Paint for this purpose is efficient. If you want to make more um, complicated textures, you probably have to use GIMP or Photoshop. So UVs, export layout, and then go to texture. Now, what I did was I turned opacity to 0, but you can just leave it because Paint doesn't have layers. Um, but uh, but Photoshop and GIMP have layers. They do use layers, so that's very convenient. So you can just leave it at anything. But before I turn that to 0, and then I would save my UV export UV layout, and then I just quickly open it again so you guys can see. So open, and then there's my UV layout. All right. So after you just put these dots in, very simple, just kind of like in that pan. You basically, what we do now, we just have to put it onto our cube. So we go to material, and we go to click use node, and we'll just split this screen up here by dragging the little triangle there, and then we'll go to node editor, and we are going to add a image texture in and connect it there. So now by press shift A, and then we're just gonna open our dye texture, this one, and by default it should just UV map to the UV coordinates that the UV layout before. So now if we just quick go to render, you can see there is our cube. So I probably want to get rid of those lines there because I got the bevel and my UV export hasn't actually got the bevel. So I'll just quickly do that actually. You can see I'm not very familiar with Paint. Oh, how do I increase the size of this stuff? There we go. Oh, got it. Alright, I don't know what I'll do. I'll do this. So this is really a quick exercise into UV unwrapping, and kind of take a little practice, the UV unwrapping practice, into a more kind of like interesting than just showing you how it's done. Yeah, actually, so I say that. Let's reload that texture. There we go. So, so I actually haven't got all of them. So let's say that again, and go to texture, dye, and it's not the greatest, but I'm sure you guys now have a better understanding of how UV mapping works. And if you want some gloss to it, we add in a mix node. Go to Shift A, shader, mix shader, drag it here, and put on some, add in a glossy node here, drag the texture image into there, and you kind of have that gloss there for 0.3. And let's go to world here, use node, and let's just turn the sky up. And that's basically it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. There will be more tutorials for you guys to work with and have fun. Alright, I'll see you next time.